Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel or welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Today is going to be politics. I do offer videos where I talk about spiritual matters, and you can find those all on my main YouTube channel. Just click the logo. It'll take you right there. Go to playlist. You'll see all kinds of videos that you might find interesting. But today is politics. And if you're new here, I am channeling this. I'm about 60% spirit, 40% Susan. It's a little rough at times, but anyway, right now I am struggling with my spirit guides because they want to talk about the Supreme Court. However, I don't have a clear idea what they want to say about the Supreme Court. Therefore, it's going to be more like a wrestling match between me and them, trying to get in a coherent way what they want to say about the Supreme Court. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and talk about these other things that Susan has already talked to her spirit guides about and can do it in a coherent way. And then, when hopefully our vibrations get in some kind of sync regarding the Supreme Court, I will tell you what they want to say about that. But let's get started with something that's happening really right now. There's a lot of things happening right now, and let's jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is, well, it turns out, now this is going to be a surprise to you. You don't have to be a psychic to know this, but it is just sad, frankly. And that is, it turns out that many of the fans, of the users of the of the 45 Truth Social app have been taken advantage of. No, not by 45. Of course, they've probably been taken advantage of by 45. However, they've been taken advantage of by all these bad actors that are using that app, where it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You know, if you think about it, you're already compromised. You're already ready to believe things that are not true. If you are a true social user, you're already a person who's willing to believe things that are not true. Period. End of story. We know this. So I think it's interesting. Some of these investigative reporters have sent in a FOB, Freedom of Information Act. Thank you. They gave me the acronym without giving me the name. A Freedom of Information Act, to get records and to specifically find out what kind of complaints were filed with the FTC. I think Federal Trade Commission, but I don't know. I'm channeling. Again, I have a very tenuous grasp on this situation at all times. So anyway, you guys, there's an article that describes, because the reports describe what happened. You know, I lost 10,000, and then I was told that if I pay 5,000, I'll get 50,000. So I gave him the 5,000. So now I'm in for 15, but now all of a sudden somehow they have 100,000 of my money. Seriously, it's story after story after story. Apparently, this particular app seems to be ripe for this kind of fraud. And these are the people who are literally complaining to the government. So you can imagine that these people have at least a few extra brain cells that are communicating with each other. Just imagine the tens of thousands of people that are too embarrassed or dislike the government and don't want to complain to the government. So this is something the spirit guides told you a while back, which is like the grift is going to be too much, right? Like the guides always talk about daylight, or they talk about, the difference between what I'm willing to believe and what is true. And at some point they don't match up. And it's not like, the spirit guides are saying, it's not like these people, all of them, are going to go all the way to the nth degree. Like they're not, all of them are not so brain addled that they're just going to believe it to the very bitter end. Okay, so what that means is there are magas that are dropping off. There are magas that are dropped. It's like maybe the Bible was too far. Maybe the watch was too far. Whatever it was, it could be something simple, like, having Elon Musk on the stage at Butler. the man went back to Butler to give a rally to honor Corey's family, ostensibly, whom I think GoFundMe has several $1,000,000 that 45 started for that family that that family's never seen. It's sitting in GoFundMe. What do you think the odds are? So, look, it could be that at some point, people that are at the rally are like, hey, man, how come you're not helping this family? It's the truth is going to catch up with these people, and they're not going to be able to make sense of it. Even in their own brain-addled way, it's just 2 and 2 is equaling 10 is not going to work for them anymore. So I think that this uncovering of these FTC complaints is going to cause more investigation, more outward public pressure into investigation into Truth Social. I just think everything is working against 45 right now, is what I want to say. And yes, of course, there's always going to be the MAGAs that are just not going to wake up. They're not going to do it. So you may have one of those in your family, and you might be saying, Susan, it's not happening. It's not happening for you, and I'm sorry for that. But overall, I see the MAGAs starting to break away, starting to, I don't want to say wake up, because I don't know that they're waking up as much as they are just having some separation from their complete cult situation. And that the guides are saying that leads us to the spirit guides predicted years ago that there would be these deprogramming centers. Okay. Now, nobody's going to send grandpa or grandma or whatever to the deprogramming. This is America. We're not going to make you go. But if you want to go, you can. And guess what might happen? These people that have lost some of these people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars from their own accounts. This one guy said, I don't even have, he spent more than $100,000 on this grift. And they needed him to send $3,000 for him to get his money back. He didn't even have $3,000 left. That's what he wrote in his complaint. I don't even have the $3,000 to get my money back. These people really believe the government's going to help them. That's a wholesale change in from the government's bad to the government's my last resort. So you have people like that have lost their pension, they've lost their retirement. One guy said one was a honeypot, and she convinced him to sell his house. The complaints are so earnest and honest that they're heartbreaking. He said, well, honestly, I needed to sell my house, so that was good. But now the money's gone. On top of all the other tens and tens of thousands of dollars that he gave her. So one guy gave $21,000 to a woman that he met on Truth Social that he hasn't told his wife about. In the complaint, he wrote, I haven't told my wife yet. Okay, so the guides are trying to say, you have grandpa that just lost the whole family's inheritance, his kids' inheritance, his house, perhaps his own wife or husband or whoever, mate, kids don't know that this is happening until, you can't keep up the charade anymore. And then you're going to have the same scene they told me before all this started, which is these people coming to us and saying, I've lost everything. I've lost my career. I've lost my respect of my family, of my community. I've lost my license, whatever that might be, real estate, doctor, whatever, my professional standing. I've lost everything. I have nothing. And I was taken advantage of. And that's a MAGA saying that to us. And the message was, embrace them. Don't save them. Don't give them your money, but, be compassionate. Gosh, that must be really terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's a very different and compassionate, loving response compared to, you big dummy, serves you right. Hope you lose every, that this is our lesson. If you want to know what our lesson is, that's our lesson, right? Their lesson is, well, they lost everything and they've got to deal with that. Our lesson is to be compassionate. Again, we don't need to give them our money, but we can be compassionate and we can allow them to learn from their mistake with grace. Okay. So that's going down, and it makes sense because the guides predicted that. It hasn't all, of course, come to fruition yet because we're just not there yet. But these are the puzzle pieces that are snapping together right now. That's making it more and more possible for this to really be a timeline, right? So let's see here. So I did mention that Elon Musk showed up at Donald Trump's rally in Butler. But what I didn't mention was, so Elon Musk did this jump. I'll put it on the screen. It's, I just don't have any words for it. I have no words anymore for what is happening. But I will say this, the other thing that happened, the jump is, it's of you make your own mind up. But the other thing that happened was there's a photo of Musk shaking 45's hand, and his head is down and his eyes are up. And you guys, it looks just like Shark Week. Sharks roll their eyes up. They have this protective film that goes over their eyes, so none of the nasty bits they're ripping apart gets in their eyeballs. That'd be a shame, right? Musk's eyes look just like a shark's eyes. I'll put that on the screen too. You be the judge. But, the spirit guides have said could be an insider that takes Trump out. And I swear to God, the way Musk is looking at 45 right there, some people called it the Antichrist look. Okay. Maybe I've misaligned sharks everywhere. My apologies. Let's just go straight to the Antichrist. I'd be running for the hills if somebody looked at me like that. I'm not kidding. So this is this the guides are saying this is a developing story because 45, as long as he can bring in the crowd, as long as he can bring in the grift, he's useful. Okay. When he's not useful anymore, and why do we need to bring Musk in? Why would you bring Musk into this rally at Butler? Something is up, you guys. And once 45 is not useful, and I don't care, this is spirit. You guys can argue all you want. I argue with them too. Go ahead. 1-800 Spirit Guides. Press 1 for complaints. You guys say that'll never happen. Maybe not, but you're arguing with non-physical. They have a better idea than the rest of us, I think. So once 45 is not useful anymore, he could be more useful as a crossed over hero, right? A hero in the sky than a hero on earth. Because you know how if you've got people that are already not thinking clearly, that are already buying every conspiracy theory, uh, who knows what, this could really energize them. I'm channeling, this is what they're saying. I'm not wishing anything on anybody, and neither are they. We're simply reading the energy. This could really energize his base because then you would have the whole conspiracy theories of, did the FBI, did Hillary Clinton do it, is what they just said to me. Did Kamala do it? You guys, that would actually energize the base more than him standing in the physical. So there's something going on there with Musk and 45 on that stage together. It is really messed up. The energy is really messed up. And Musk is wearing a dark MAGA baseball hat. And he's all in black. And the hat's black and the dark MAGA is in black. Something's up, you guys. 45, you're in trouble, girl. You're in trouble. Okay. Look, I put it on the screen and let you see it. It's the Antichrist. Okay. This is just something the spirit guides wanted me to share with you because this is like something that we could be talking to our friends and peers when they say, I don't do politics. Like, I don't understand it. I don't do it. This is something that I got online, and it's a really good thing to just use. And it's called like voting 101. 9 people are on a bus. Now, we often talk about the karma bus, do we not? 3 vote to drive the bus over a cliff. We also talk about cliffs with Maga a lot, do we not? But anyway, 2 vote to get ice cream. 4 don't bother to vote. Everyone dies. Right? It's kind of true, is it not? If you're on a bus, which is your community, your local community, you guys are all on a bus together. Whether you have a library or not depends on all of you. Whether you have a functioning fire department depends on all of you. If everybody doesn't vote for that, then the 2 that do vote for it make decide your fate. This is really important. This is what the spirit guides really want us to understand. Our lesson is we're all in this together. Okay. So another little tidbit is that 45 is having, this is how you know they're desperate. They're bringing Musk on a stage with 45. He doesn't share the stage with anybody. He doesn't really allow people to get up there. He allows people to introduce him, but he doesn't introduce others so often. So another thing they're doing is they're hiring door-to-door canvassers for $30 an hour. $30 an hour, you can get hired if you want to go to Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, or Arizona. They have to pay their canvassers. Kamala has an army just roaming the streets, canvassing and door knocking. They're desperate, you guys, and they think that either you're going to adjudicate a vote, meaning you're going to take it to court, or else you're going to buy it. That's all the only way they know how to do anything. This is the only way they know how to win. And to pay for that $30 a person, because 45 doesn't pay for nothing. It's Musk. Musk is the one who started the super PAC to pay for this. So you guys, Musk, what is going on with Sharkman? Musk has taken he's taken a leadership role. Oh, okay. I don't know. I want to be a little careful here because whenever I have to talk about certain countries, I don't want to talk about them. And it's not Russia. It's SA, and you can figure out what that stands for. It's a company with the country with S and A in it. And so what happened is when I asked about Musk, they showed me a picture of Musk in the soccer. Wasn't it a soccer game? And wasn't Jared there too? And somebody else maybe, and there was all these princes. Okay. I'm just telling you that's what they showed me. So you can make the connection yourself. But that, as we've said from the beginning, these countries don't want a democracy here. We make them look bad. Freedom makes them look bad. They want to create chaos in our country, basically. So when I saw Musk and I saw SA, now you understand where some money's coming from and where that particular pressure is coming from. It's coming from everywhere. It's coming from China. It's coming from North Korea. It's coming from Iran. It's coming from SA. It's coming from Russia. It's coming from a lot of places. Okay. We're the king of the hill, and everybody wants to knock us off the king of the hill. I mean, I don't think we are, but they think we are. So that's that. So also, and I'm sorry, I'm talking about Musk. I didn't realize I was going to do this. Also, another tidbit is Musk's mother went on Twitter, and this is what she tweeted. The Democrats have given us another option. You don't have to register to vote. On election day, have 10 fake names, go to 10 polling booths, and vote 10 times. That's 100 votes. And it's not illegal. Maybe we should work the system too. Well, guess what? That is illegal. She's telling these people to do something that is illegal. And these people are so stupid because they buy Trump tennis shoes and watches and pieces of his suit and God knows what else they buy, Bibles. So everybody jumped on Elon Musk's mom and said, this is illegal. So she retracted it. But the thing that they do so well is once they release something out into the wilds of the internet, it's on its own. It's got its own life. Nobody hears about the retraction. It's a lot of people are going to jail. The guides just said a lot of people are going to jail. And you can point to somebody and say, but I listened, like they did with 45, but I listened to him, we don't care. You're an adult. You should understand what the laws are in the United States of America and you should abide by them. Okay. So it's heating up. They know they're losing and it is heating up. Let's talk briefly about Russia because there's all kind of just wrong information flying around, of course, because we are in the world of disinformation. What's happening is that Russia won this little town that they've been trying to win for a year. This town is particularly nicely situated atop a hill, so some Ukrainians have been holding it, but it's not significant to the war. But it's significant to people that get fixated on that bully energy of you've been holding this back from me, so I'm going to use all my resources to get it, only to find out it wasn't worth anything, right? Like you steal the kid's lunchbox, there's nothing in it. You got nothing. So, but the thing that I want to say about Russia, because this again is a puzzle piece that fits into the puzzle pieces that the guide showed me when this whole thing went down. They told me how this was going to end was that Russia was going to have internal strife, like to the degree that it's not even controllable by their own crazy police that they have. Now, this has happened a couple of times. A couple of times people have rioted in Russia. They've been put down, okay, because they have basically a police state and they just throw people in dark vans and they never show up again, and that tends to chill, that tends to make a chilling effect on the rest of the citizens and everybody gets back in line. However, what I saw from the spirit guides was I saw this basically around food, around access to food. Number one, like there is no food. Number two, what food there is very expensive. That seems to be the straw that broke the camel's back of the Russian people. They've already been just trampled on. Their kids are gone. Their young men are all gone. And now they're telling me Ukraine is starting to actually bomb interior Russia. So now Russia understands, oh, whoops, we are now getting attacked. Whereas for years, Russia did not get attacked, but now they are. So the piece that came together that I feel like is really important is that Russia's economy is running really strong right now. When you might be like, well, Susan, this is what I'm saying. You're going to hear this in the news and you're going to be like, oh, Russia's doing great. They're going to cream Ukraine. Not true. Their economy is running so hot because they're pumping lots of money in, but they cannot, it's causing inflation to go up. Okay. Inflation has gone up like double or triple. And I think it's going to get to like 15%. Like right now, I think it's 9% or 10%. I think it's going to get up to maybe even 18%. Look, if you have a job and you have money and you've got no food to buy, or you can't, we know we've been there. We haven't been to that kind of inflation, but we've been to the place where I have a job, but I can't afford the food. Now it's getting more, balanced, but theirs isn't going to balance because they don't have a democracy and they have a madman running their country who's basically employing whoever that he can to build weapons for this war. And the money is coming in, but it's just there's not enough food. They can't even feed their own troops. It's going to be a problem. So this is the puzzle piece that's coming together now. I don't know if it's going to come together by the end of the year, but if not, it will be there by spring of next year. If the Russians have to go through this winter with limited food, limited resources, when I say resources, what they showed me actually was heating oil or electricity. It's almost going to get to some sort of almost close to a famine situation where there's just not food and there's not enough food and the food that's there is so expensive and I feel like the whatever their heating oil or whatever their situation is to stay warm is compromised perhaps by a tax, you know? So I feel like it's going to be a horrible winter. I feel like, and winter will keep people inside. Come spring, whoever's available to come out is going to come out. And I think it's going to be a lot of things all at once that's going to crumple this situation. Now, that's if, everybody has free will. We're talking about Russia. We're talking about interior Russia. But at the same time, you've got Ukraine, who's now using different types of, now they have fighters, they have long range drones. They have more, they just have more ability to do more damage inside of Russia. And what I see is Ukraine has got some plan to continue through the winter. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to go into it, but there's some plan that they have to be very effective and deadly in the winter when in typically the winter the war would settle down, not stop, but slow down quite a bit. So I'm saying to you that this could end, by December because Ukraine has free will. But if it doesn't, Russia's going to implode by the spring. Also, the other thing that we want to talk about, or they want to talk about, is, and this is, I don't know, this just came in, so God knows what it's going to sound like. But Macron in France, he's getting involved with the attacks on Lebanon, and he's starting to push for international sort of not assistance, but intervention. Okay, and I think this is important. There seems to be energy around Macron. There seems to be energy around getting some sort of intervention with this. Also, in Lebanon, there's 40% are Christians. So the Christians are like, why are you bombing us? Right? Why is Israel bombing Christians? Yeah, it's going to be a big thing now. It's just going to be a big thing. And that's why I think Macron is like, Jesus Christ, he's like, we got to do something. So I think you're going to see more of an international response to this situation because when I say international, I really mean Europe, right? Because that war's in their backyard. It's not in our backyard. And they don't want that to spread throughout the Middle East. They don't want that. And I don't think Saudi Arabia wants it either. I don't think a lot of the Middle Eastern Arabic countries want that. I don't think they do. So I think you're going to see more pressure on Netanyahu. Now that is connected to Ukraine. That is why I went from Ukraine to Netanyahu and to Lebanon into Macron, because you have this energy of, and the guides have talked about this before, but sort of like the parent comes in the room and settles the fight, right? The kids are fighting. The parent comes in and grabs one by the scruff, the other by the scruff, and says, all right, you go over there and you go over there. This is kind of the energy. The energy is Europe was kind of sort of barely keeping it together with what Russia was doing, fully understanding that if Russia rolled through Ukraine, they would go straight to Poland. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So Europe was already like, we really should be doing something here. But if they have another big, huge conflagration going on in the Middle East and this conflagration going on over here, it's too much. I'm telling you, energetically, it's too much for Germany. It's too much for France. It's too much. These countries are going to come together and say, what can we do? Right? Do we need to send in the UN? Do we need to send in NATO? I mean, what do we do? Right? Like this is really to me, it's feeling like they feel like it's a crisis point. Like it could spread, it could break out again. So this thing has been contained between Ukraine and Russia. Well, then it was contained between Palestine and Israel. Now it's spread to Lebanon. So now it's jumping out of its containment, and these leaders are starting to really get worried. And I feel like they're going to do whatever they can to make this stop. So we'll see what that is. But there is, it, I don't see it like a wildfire. I don't see it just becoming World War III, right? I've said that many times, but these people know that it is getting out of its bounds, out of control, and they don't want that. So now you're going to see renewed energy towards that. And of course, you bring in Kamala Harris as president, and she's very action oriented. She's much more action oriented than Biden is. Not to say that Biden doesn't take action, he just does it in a different way. How many times did he meet with BB? How many? Come on, man. Come on. Knock it off, man. Come on. You know, Kamala Harris is going to tell you one time, and then she's going to take some kind of action. I don't know what kind of action she's going to take, but she's going to take action. Seriously, she just doesn't have that kind of personality. So add Kamala Harris as president to the situation where you already have buy-in with a lot of European leaders, you're going to see a smackdown. Now, I'm not talking about troops over there. I'm not talking about us sending troops over there at all. I mean, we already got troops over there, but I'm not even new troops over there. But that was mainly to say, hey, again, parent, we're outside the door. Don't make us come in there. That's kind of what Biden did by sending these troops over there. Get a little too rowdy, we're going to come in and settle the situation. Also, they're protecting Israel. They're actually shooting down a lot of the rockets that Israel's Iron Dome isn't catching. So we're helping Israel. I don't know how that's going to go down if we don't get a peace plan when we should be able to get a peace plan. Okay. I just think there's going to be more and more pressure on that. So really quickly, and I'm going to get to Supreme Court really quickly. The Nancy Mace, you guys, Nancy Mace, you remember her? Y'all know her? I hope you weren't drinking. I hope you didn't Anyway, she introduced a bill to Congress to end FEMA's shelter and services program. You guys, right now, people are in FEMA shelters. It's the cruelty is the point, right? Isn't it? Isn't it? So at some point, the people that are in the shelters are going to say, when I go to my favorite radio shows or my favorite TV shows or whatever, they're telling me that there's no Marines, there's no FEMA, there's no helicopters, there's no National Guard, but I'm looking at them. Do you see what I'm saying? It's cognitive dissonance. It's not, they're going to be like, you're lying because I'm looking at it. Again, this woman wants to end FEMA shelters while people are in FEMA shelters. People are going to start waking up to this. Cruelty is the point. They're not even trying to be sly about it. JD Vance during the VP debate was sly. He was slick. These other people are basically using a sledgehammer to show us how horrible, what horrible people they are. And people are going to wake up to this. People are going to start recognizing this. And you're going to see a backlash. You really are going to see a backlash. Again, back to Elon Musk for a second. My notes, Elon Musk. I called him Leon because that's what 45 called him, was Leon. Oh, Lord. Back to Musk for a second. So it's been reported, and this is 100% proven, that Musk was funding either political action committees or groups, or somehow funding Stephen Miller, the Antichrist guy. Musk is going to lose Tesla. He's going to lose Tesla. He should lose all government contracts. He is operating actively against the interests of the United States of America. We wouldn't give somebody from North Korea a government contract. We wouldn't even give China a government contract like this. Yet, this man is just as bad. He's got to go. He's going to go. He's really one of the biggest symptoms of our sickness, honestly. And when I say Tesla's going to get rid of him. I mean, the guys just showed me Twitter, right? Like he bought Twitter and it's going down the tubes. And he's going to do the same thing with Tesla. Okay, let me see if I can understand what they want to talk about with the Supreme Court. So they want to say, again, you guys, my role, I think, is to prepare you so that when things happen, you don't experience the complete terror that everybody else does. Like I was in the wilds of the internet over the last week, and I'm not even going to talk about it, but over the last week of the Liz Cheney campaigning or being or endorsing Kamala Harris. And I was just telling people that don't know me, look, Liz Cheney's got a record. She's got a voting record and she actively covered for Ginny Thomas, blah, blah, blah. These people came at me like I said Mother Teresa was a serial killer. And I was like, wow, So people that don't listen to our amazing group of psychics, I mean, please give a round of applause for this amazing group of political psychics. They just don't know what's up, right? Like, so my role here is to give you the what's up, right? We predicted so many things that have come true, and it's helping you, prepare, right? So, what I'm going to tell you about the Supreme Court is about preparation. So, there's two things, but they need to stop. Okay, so because they're already telling me about something else, and I haven't even told you about the Supreme Court. Like, do they understand how humans work? Seriously. So, Supreme Court, yes, of course, Kamala Harris is going to win. Yes, the Republicans are going to say, but the polls show she lost. So it must have been STOLEN, and we need to take it to the court and all this stuff. And of course they will. Of course they will. Because no one is going to be more surprised than they are by how this whole thing comes together. So the guides have told you there might be whole states, the entire state, that does not certify their VOTESs. Some states have already just come out recently and said we may not. Okay. So you would think if you're them, we got the lock on this. It doesn't matter that Kamala Harris is more popular. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. We can win by cheating. Okay. They really believe this. Okay. I mean, they're starting to think maybe it's not going to happen, but they still believe what is happening is they're putting more pressure, they're showing me, on those states like Georgia. But the thing that's going to surprise them is the states that go blue, that they didn't think were going to go blue. Okay. So Kamala's going to win this. The guides are saying in a backdoor fashion, and perhaps you might even see that on a headline or in the media, because the backdoor meaning they came in the back door. We never saw them. All these VOTERs, remember how they used to call them the ghost VOTERs, right? Because they are alive. They're not ghosts, but they're not counted. They're new. They're new. You don't canvass new VOTERs because you don't even know who they are yet. So this is what I mean by the back door. So in this way, she wins, despite the fact that they literally go all in on some of these states and really do things that are, I mean, again, like the guide said a few minutes ago, a lot of people are going to get arrested. A lot of people are going to go through the justice system because they didn't learn last time. They still believe, like the woman who just went to prison. She literally got 7 years in prison for doing this very thing in 2020. But now somehow they forget. So despite that, okay, so because of all of that, they're going to be just like mind blown that they didn't win. So of course, the first thing you're going to do is go to the courts. And of course, it's going to get to the Supreme Court. And I think that's what keeps us all up at night, right? Because, well, if the Supreme Court hears it, of course, they're going to vote they're going to say, it's his. But that's not the case. I want to say that, God, they were saying earlier, there's some kind of, well, shenanigans, but a tiebreaker. So they're saying a tiebreaker. And I have to say, Roberts is not on our side. Roberts he does not go the way we think he would go. He goes against us. Of course, Alito goes against us. Of course, Thomas goes against us. Although there's a question mark about Thomas's health around December or January. Gorsuch, I really need to dig further into him because he is the one who he'll go their way. But what he sees himself doing is when you tell everybody, run, go into the battle. Everybody go into the battle. And Roberts and Alito and Kavanaugh, they all run into the battle. Gorsuch hides in the corner because he doesn't want to be removed. He doesn't want to be investigated. He wants to lay low. Okay. Now, the tiebreaker, I think, might be Amy Coney Barrett. I really think this could get closer than we could imagine that it would get. And I think the tiebreaker is Amy Coney Barrett. And I'll tell you that I 100% know that Kamala Harris is going to be the president. Okay? If I didn't think she was going to be the president, even if I thought it was, say, a 20% chance she wasn't going to be the president, honestly, you guys, I'd be putting this sucker on the market and I'd be moving to a different country. I wouldn't even give it 20%. I wouldn't risk 20%. That's how sure that I am she's going to be president. So, but there are some things coming up that could be really rich or really just mind-blowing in regards to the Supreme Court. That is new information. Like the thing I saw when I started this video was I actually saw, it looks like Sotomayor. I actually saw like Sotomayor, like almost like clutch her heart. Like, not that she's having a physical, that she's shocked that even being in the inner sanctum with these anti-democratic judges, anti-American judges, and she's seen what we haven't seen. She's shocked. So I think they're going to try to do something. There's something they try to do between now and, say, December or January, but it doesn't work. And it's really interesting that I'm not going to get triggered, but it's really interesting that Liz Cheney has come from the dark side to sort of put her shoulder to the wheel, to kind of help. It's kind of interesting to me that the two women would come over to the light for a minute, for a brief minute, for a hot minute, as they say, to do what's right. So, and again, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not patriots. They're not people that you would necessarily trust your newborn baby with, or trust them with even $20. I mean, I'm that's how I feel about either one of them. But if they have some modicum of conscience and they want to come over and do the right thing, I give them credit for that. I'm going to give them credit for that. And then we go back to our battle stations afterwards, because you haven't proved to me that you've been reformed. You do one thing. It doesn't mean you're reformed to me, right? You're going to have to do a little bit more than that. So yes, I think there could be some crazy things with the Supreme Court, especially as we go into the fall. November, December, like it's almost like they do rule. They do, how they have the shadow docket where they are in their season. They're in their season right now. They're in court. So anyway, they could take a case. That's it. Holy moly, they could take a case. They could take a case that would make us all freak out, right? Like, again, uh Trump v. United States of America presidential election, you know? It's not going to work, you guys. It's not going to work. I'm serious. It's not going to work. But it is going to scare the living daylights out of all of us. That's what I'm saying. Forewarned is forearmed. Okay. The last thing I'm going to say really briefly, because it really does, it needs a whole video all on its own, is going forward. What happens in 2025? How do we even put our country back together? How do we go forward? And just very briefly, I would say to you that the economy is great. I'm sorry if you don't have a job. I'm sorry if you can't find a job, but the numbers say the economy is great. Maybe it should be better, but it's by historical standards, it's really good. Okay. And overall, Biden's policies that he got passed 2 years ago are just now kind of coming into being and into us feeling it. So this is making magas again. The guides always talk about it. Their belly's full. They got their boat. They got their ATV. They're at the drag races. You know what I mean? Crime is down. Really and truly, it's sort of been ameliorating, placating energy, softening energy, right? Like, let's just lull all the crazy people to sleep. You know what I mean? That's what's happening. That is why they decided not to put 45 in jail. Okay? Because when you do that, you slap that big wasp nest with a bat. Another way to do it is to smoke the wasp out, is to make them sleepy and then gently remove the nest and deal with it. That's what's happened. That's how Biden decided to handle this. And I think he was right, even though I've many times thought that he was wrong. And the spirit guides agreed with him from day one. They said 45 is never going to go to jail, not in the next years and years. They tried to prepare you once again. So as we go forward into 25, well, we've got a new situation because we have a woman president. Not only is she a woman, for the love of God, she's a black woman. Oh my God. That is going to wake them up and stir them up and get them all PO'd. And the thing that we have going for us is not only Biden's policies, which are really going to come into effect in 25, but also Kamala Harris's policies, her tax credit for kids. She's going to help people get houses. You know, it's hard to hate somebody that's helping you so much. I know this because I've seen it when the Affordable Care Act, when Obamacare came online. I saw people I knew that were Republicans become Democrats because a problem they had was solved by Democrats, and they're still Democrats. So this stuff works. You know, helping people in their homes, in their communities, in their pocketbooks, it works. So this is how we can get through this transition easier. Now, that's not 100% guaranteed because guess what? The states know this. The states know that if really good economic policies get to their citizens and the policies are attributed to Democrats, they're out of business. That's why you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and every other Republican going on TV and saying, look at this new road I got you. She voted against it, but she's taking claim. She's taking all the good things for it, right? So that's one thing, but the other thing is some of these states are going to say no, we don't want it. Like Texas doesn't participate in a lot of federal programs that would benefit Texas citizens. Texas says no, we don't want the federal money. We don't want to help our citizens. The citizens don't know any better because they've never experienced the help. It's one thing to say, oh, Texas doesn't get this money. It's another thing to move here from another state where you got the money. We don't know what we're missing in Texas. Okay. So that's another thing. So, in as much as the Harris administration, comes into states like Texas and has rallies and says, it's all about the messaging, you guys, and Democrats have been a terrible at messaging. Comes in and says, you guys could all be getting all this money, but your governor doesn't want you to have it. What, don't you want it? Oh, guess what? She brought the fight right into the state. She brought the fight right into the battleground. These Republican leaders do not want that. So you're going to see more. I hate to say this because I live in a red state, but you're going to see even more buttressing, is the word they're using, against Democrats. You're going to see even more. What is that word they're trying to say? It's kind of like the paper tiger when you know, you try to be, you try to be a big force. You don't really have any right to do it, and you really can't back it up, but you're going to be big. You're going to say big things. And you're going to see the states try to that high bleep noise you just heard was not me. I don't know where that came from. Get power and hold on to it. Kind of coalesce power. There's another word. But anyway, you're going to see states become bigger a-holes. That's what you're going to see. That's going to be the fight. The fight is going to go to the states. And the states are going to try to be power centers. The states are going to say, we're a republic, which we are. The states are going to say, we're not doing this. The federal government can go kick rocks. We don't care. And then you're going to see a little bit of a situation with the states and the federal government. Now, if we have Congress, which we will, but hopefully we have enough Congress, then we can actually pass laws, federal laws, which all states have to abide by. Even then, I'm just telling you, states are not going to abide by them. States are going to say, make me. Again, constitutional situation. What does the government do? At what point does the federal government say, okay, because Kamala Harris is a lot smarter than them. So I think what she does is she says, okay, that's fine. And then she buys a lot of ads, or the DNC starts buying ads in Texas and educating the people. This is what you're missing out on. Your governor doesn't want you to have this, but the federal government wants you to have it. As a matter of fact, Arkansas has it. Whatever. Louisiana's decided to take it. How come Texas doesn't get it? Again, Kamala is a much younger person. She understands messaging. She understands social media, and she's going to help the DNC, the Democrats, pivot and utilize this messaging. We're not going to be gaslit into, like when Obama was in office and they kept saying, you can't keep giving rallies. You're a president. You don't give rallies. Okay, we've got to stop letting them tell us what we can do and not do when they do the same thing. We got to stop letting them gaslight us. And I'm hoping that Kamala Harris will be able to do that. I really feel like even if she does 10% more messaging, it's going to make a huge difference. But that's where I think the next battle is in the states. Okay. If you watched this long, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please let me know in the comments what you think about all of this stuff that's going on. If you have any questions, let me know. I am going to be here this week. This is like the 6th of October. And then the end of the week, I am going to my second annual Connect to Empower event. It's happening in Denver. It is sold out. We have 150 people coming, and we have 5 of us awesome psychics a lot of them that you know from here on YouTube, doing an event. So I might be out of pocket next weekend, but I think some things might be going down. So if they are going down, I will jump on here from my hotel room or whatever. I'm not going to abandon you guys in a time of need, but just to tell you, if I'm gone a few days next week, that's where I'm at. Okay. Take really, really good care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. This week, more videos. All right. See you soon. for entertainment purposes only.